my fellow comic book collectors, it's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and these are the biggest superheroes that made their first appearance in the 80s, so from 1980 to 1989. Sort of a little bit of the Copper Age, a little bit of the Bronze Age, a little bit of mix, but just the 80s, so from 1980 to 1989. We're going to start out with, these are the ones I think are the best. You can disagree. I put in the comments what you think would be the top 5 superheroes from that era of the decade of the 80s, but these are the ones I picked. We're going to start out with one of my favorite books, actually, one of my favorite books in my collection, and one of my favorite characters. I really like this character. It's Usagi Yojimbo, and this is Albedo number 2, which is his first appearance. Actually, there's a lot of really interesting things about Usagi. He was created by Stan Sakai. It was from 1984. And he was actually modeled after a real person. So he was modeled after Miyamoto Musoshi. I'm hoping I'm not brutalizing his Japanese name. But he was a legendary Japanese samurai. And his name, so Usagi Yojimbo actually isn't the character's real name. The real name of Usagi is Miyamoto Usagi. So Miyamoto comes partly from that legendary samurai, and the Usagi part just means rabbit. So it's literally rabbit in Japanese. So it means like sort of, it's a pun on that. So, but why do people call him Usagi Yojimbo? Well, he's called Usagi Yojimbo because Yojimbo means bodyguard. So he was often a bodyguard in the story. So Usagi Yojimbo, that's his story. He's actually named 92nd top characters of all times for comics by IGN. And he appears in 476 issues of various comics. So very popular character. He had a brief crossover with the Ninja Turtles, and just a very popular character. They've actually made him his own TV series, and he even was in several episodes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TV series. So pretty cool character, very popular character. I figure he should make the top 5 list. So that's my number 5. Number 4 on the list is one that definitely, I think, had a major influence in the 80s and 90s. This is The Crow, and they're just about to come out with a new movie for The Crow. The Crow was actually made his first appearance in Caliber Presents number 1, but it was just kind of like a back page ad for The Crow. It was really this book where he makes his full appearance in Crow number 1. He was created by James O'Barr, and James O'Barr actually modeled the character after an event that happened to him in real life. His girlfriend at the time was killed by a drunk driver. So he was in major grief, and that's what the story is based on, that grief of losing his girlfriend through a tragedy. So very interesting character. Now, he actually appears not in that many issues. He's only in about 99 issues. But the character is Eric Draven, and just a really cool character. Part of the reason he's interesting is like his life takes, he's basically indestructible. As long as he, nobody touches the Crow, he's fine. Just a very cool character, inspired by revenge. So just a very interesting one. So he had a major influence in the 90s with the Crow movie. I mean, that was just a huge movie. It was one of those cult movies that people love. Hopefully they'll do a good job of it when they bring it back out. I'm hoping. Okay, the next character is another major one. And this is Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing, but this is Swamp Thing 37, but the character's name is John Constantine. And John Constantine was kind of not, he was kind of an aide to Swamp Thing, and his powers are magic and demonology, and he was also known as the Hellblazer. And I figured I'd show, because that doesn't show him on the cover, I figured I should show Hellblazer #1. So Hellblazer #1, you got John Constantine on the cover. John Constantine's kind of known for his trench coat. He doesn't have a superhero name, except, well, maybe Hellblazer, but he's just known for being in a trench coat, smoking lots of cigarettes, and having very cool magic. He was in like several cartoon series with Justice League Dark, and they made a movie with Keanu Reeves. They're actually going to make a new movie. I think Keanu Reeves might even replay John Constantine. John Constantine's actually an interesting character because he actually ages in real life in terms of the comics. Like, he's not the same age as he was in the first comics. They actually keep on progressing his age forward, which is a kind of interesting little factoid about John Constantine. Now, there's actually an earlier book. So a lot of people think, oh, Swamp Thing, Saga of Swamp Thing #37 is his first appearance. But there's actually an earlier book, DC Sampler #3, which has a 3-page preview of Swamp Thing #37. And so that's actually kind of his first appearance. There was sort of a prototype appearance in Saga of Swamp Thing #25, if you're also interested in that, where it's kind of like a John Constantine character, and many people cite that as a cameo for John Constantine, but it's not quite right. He doesn't have the trench coat. He doesn't have some of the mannerisms of John Constantine. So this is one of these controversies about the character is, where did he make his first appearance? But most people go to that 37 as being the key issue. But the DC Sampler actually came out 3-4 months before the Swamp Thing 37. And if you ever want his first cover appearance, just as an aside, you have to look for Who's Who Update 1987 #3, and he's on the cover of that. He's just sort of, I think he's between somebody's legs. It's like the weirdest cover appearance, but he's on there. So he was created by Alan Moore, John Tuttlebin, and Stephen Bissett. And he's also kind of interesting. Alan Moore kind of based the character off the pop star Sting, which is a weird little fact about him. He kind of wanted to be a grounded character, but also have that kind of pop star kind of feel to him. Very interesting element to John Constantine. John Constantine appeared in 1,583 different issues of various comics. So just a very cool character. Next character on the list is one that you might not have think of like as superheroes, but he is a superhero in his own right. And it is He-Man. He-Man, he's even going up against Superman here. It's just, he was major in the 80s, played a major role in many kids had the action figures or the little statues, and not statues, but the castles and the toys related to He-Man. Very major character. Even in my childhood, I remember all the kids had all these little He-Man action figures with Skeletor and all the different characters. But He-Man, major character. He made his first comic book appearance in this book, which is DC Presents number 47. I always forget the number. But he actually made an earlier appearance in a little book. So what they would do is when they would sell the action figures, they had like little comics with them. And this is where he made his first appearance, was in this particular book. It's Masters of the Universe, He-Man and the Power Sword. So I'll zoom in so you can see the title. And there was several of these little comics, and the artist Bruce Timm actually made his first cover appearance in terms of doing cover art and first art appearance in one of these little booklets. So interesting little factoids about He-Man. And they were kind of cool little books you can see inside. Okay, so he was created by Lou Scheimer. Scheimer, I think I'm hopefully pronouncing his name right, and he was really created for Mattel, which is a toy company, so obviously. He-Man's real name is Adam of Eternia, but everyone knows him as He-Man. And it's really when he's normally pretty weak, but then when he does this Power of Grayskull thing, then he becomes He-Man. Well, he's still strong, actually, even as Adam, but he powers up when he does his He-Man thing. Just a major character. I thought he deserved to be on the list. The last character on the list, number 1, is one I actually debated about putting on this list, because generally I don't want to have characters that have made earlier appearances and then get reintroduced as a new character. But I kind of put an exception for this one. Because he is a major character, and it is Nightwing. So Nightwing is really Dick Grayson, who made his first appearance in actually Batman #1, and then he made his next appearance in Detective Comics 38 as Robin. But he's really a character, who was Batman's sidekick, but you have to grow up sometime. You can't be a sidekick forever. And this is where Nightwing kind of grows up and becomes his own character and even has his own sidekick. So Nightwing, and he made his first appearance in Tales of the Teen Titans #44, this book. Now, interesting thing about Nightwing is he was created by Merv Wolfman and George Perez. But there was actually an earlier version of Nightwing where the character was actually called Nightwing, which appeared in 1963, where in Superman #158. So if you're if you really want to be particular, you could say, oh, that's the first appearance of Nightwing. But really, that was a very different character, and this is the true Nightwing that we know today. So just an interesting little factoid. There's so many things with Dick Grayson and him becoming all these various characters, Robin and Nightwing. Just an interesting character. He also has like a very long ongoing series. I think it's into over 100 issues now. I remember just seeing the 100th one just come out recently. So, very popular character. The fact that he's held his own title for that long is actually quite a major feat for modern comics. So, Nightwing, I figured he should be on top of the list. I'm not really sure how many issues he's appeared in, but at least over 100. I know that much. Probably way more than that. But Nightwing, #1. So that's it for this list. What did you think of this list? Please put it in the comments below. What ones did I miss that I should have put on the list? Another one I was thinking about, and I was talking with my friend Matt, who likes comics, was The Tick. Was another major hero that I could have put on the list. I was debating, but I thought these were bigger characters than The Tick. So, but there's so many, so many. And some characters you might say, oh, why aren't they on this list? Well, wait till next week because I'll explain. Because there's some characters that didn't make this list that will be on next week's list, which will be villains. So I think you can maybe guess at some of those characters. I hope you enjoyed this list. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.